So the title of this article is about as bad as it sounds. Sweden says no to rape convicts. Deportation as crime, quote unquote, wasn't long enough. Yeah, you heard that right. Wasn't long enough, so he's not going to get deported. Let's get into a little bit of the article here. It says the Court of Appeal for Upper Norrland ruled that the man, Yazed Muhammad, who would have guessed he'd have a name like that, will not be deported after serving his 3-year prison sentence due to the duration of the incident, according to the local media. By the way, 3 years for raping someone is such a slap on the wrist for doing something so insanely wrong. To me, if you rape someone, to me, it's like life in prison, death penalty. You've said you don't want to participate in society once you've done something of that nature. I have no sympathy for these people. It should be extremely harsh punishment, in my opinion. Anyways, I'll continue here. And then it says he will not be deported after serving his 3-year sentence due to the duration of the incident. According to local media, the court in its ruling said the rape was not serious enough. How can a rape not be serious enough? Does that follow? I don't think that follows at all. To justify deportation, it stated that the rape did not last long enough to be classified as an exceptionally serious crime. Absolute joke. Absolute. It's ridiculous. So it does not necessitate deportation. Rape is in many cases considered an exceptionally serious offense that could lead to the deportation of a refugee, but an assessment must be made based on the circumstances in the individual case, the court said. It added, given the nature and duration of the offense in question, the Court of Appeals finds that while the crime is serious, it does not constitute an exceptionally serious offense, they're talking about rape, that would warrant a deportation order for Yazed Muhammad. The request for deportation is therefore rejected. Here's a backstory on what happened to this poor woman, this poor girl. She's not a woman yet, poor girl. The incident took place on September 1st last year when Maya, a 16-year-old girl, missed her bus after finishing work at McDonald's and was walking through a pedestrian tunnel. She was then attacked and raped by an 18-year-old, Yazed Muhammad. Reacting to the ruling, well, we don't need to go, Donald Trump and Jr.'s a bit upset about it, but here is a picture of the young lady. And obviously, this is a ridiculous thing to happen. But this is what's going to happen when you import so-called refugees. When you import people who don't share your moral framework or don't share your values, you're going to get a ton of people who, they don't abide by your customs. They go ahead and they rape a 16-year-old girl, and then you have the courts, which are now sympathetic towards these people for whatever reason. You can come up with why you think that is, but to me it seems self-evident. We've seen this time and time again of courts giving criminals slaps on the wrist. Well, this is in Sweden, obviously. This is in the USA, which is what I'm a bit more familiar with, but we're seeing this about all over the West in general. We're seeing this in the UK especially. It's very, very soft on crime. Pro-refugee, quote-unquote. Pro-migrant to a complete fault, to an evil way, actually, of always giving favor to them because they don't want to seem racist. They don't want to seem evil. They don't want to seem Islamophobic. They don't want to seem Islamophobic to Muhammad over here. That would be terrible. That would be something that would be serious enough. That would be something that's an exceptionally serious crime, is if you're Islamophobic. But raping somebody, just 3 years in prison and go right back out on the streets. Come on. Come on, Muhammad. Go back on the streets after 3 years after you raped this girl in public. Like, you raped someone. But you get to go free in 3 years so you can go do it again, because surely they will do it again. I've done a video on this in the past, the amount of people who, I don't have the number in my head right now, but it's a very high, rate of people committing crimes after they've already committed crimes. Most crimes are committed by people who've already committed crimes, which is why we need to be harsh on crime, not soft on crime, where we give people 3 years in prison. That's ridiculous. But, obviously this is Sweden, this is the US, but I mainly want to use this to talk a bit more about the kind of the doom that's going on with this mass immigration, how it's kind of a scam. You can't just import people from all over the world and expect them to share your values and abide by your rules, because they're not going to. And we just keep seeing this weird thing of them giving exceptions, them giving slaps on the wrists for these people. And she was actually interviewed. She was actually interviewed here, so I'll share this interview with you. Sorry, 1 second. I gotta switch to this. There we go.
Jag mår fortfarande illa när jag tänker på det. Jag har ju berättat det här 1000 gånger. Speciellt för polisen och när det har varit i tingsrätten. Men jag känner ju fortfarande att det är sjukt jobbigt. Under hela skolåret, förra året, så var jag knappt i skolan. Nu då och då så drömmer jag ju fortfarande mardrömmar om det. Och jag har varit jätterädd att vara ute och gå själv. Så jag går nästan aldrig själv ute nu. Jag bryter fortfarande ihop när jag suttit och pratat om det länge och kommit in på detaljer. Att det blir som att jag återupplever igen och jag känner hans händer på mig. Men som tur så har jag mina jättefina vänner och mina föräldrar som har varit där för mig varenda dag. Nej, det känns så overkligt att det också var för... Jag kommer alltid påverkas någonting av det här. Jag önskar ju verkligen nu när andra tjejer hör det här, det är också därför jag vill göra det, att de också ska tänka att det är värt att anmäla. Även fast det kanske inte går igenom, men det kan faktiskt vara värt. För det kan ju också hjälpa en annan tjej.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that this even happened. It's heartbreaking that this is the response. This is the injustice. I mean, come on. Come on. 3 years in prison. I mean, she's clearly traumatized for life. I mean, hopefully she can deal with it better with time. I don't know how you deal with something like that. I can't even imagine. But because it did not last long enough. For missing a bus. After going to work at McDonald's, for missing a bus. I mean, I don't need to explain to you why this is wrong. This is obviously an injustice, and I want to get a bit into the numbers here on the immigration problem, because let me actually jump to this last thing really quick. I just want to note that the foreign-born population in Sweden is 20%. 20% of their country is non-Swedish. People who have no cultural lineage, no ties to this country at all. That doesn't mean every single one of these foreign-born, people that live there aren't trying to assimilate. But, there's a very big trend in the world right now of immigrants do not want to assimilate. Whatever reason, these people... It's mainly because we're getting people from, the Middle East or Africa who have completely different country or different cultures. It's much easier to assimilate someone from Italy into the U.S., for example, or from France into the U.S., for example. But to actually get someone who wants to assimilate from someone who has a completely different worldview and actually kind of hates your worldview, it's just not going to happen. That's why you see people like Zoran Mamdani in New York with his clear hatred for the USA, but that's a discussion for another time. But we have 20% of the population in Sweden is foreign-born, which is crazy to me. How can any country survive like that? How can imagine that maintained this is just going to keep growing. Since 2013, 46% growth in in this. But as we can see here, according to the research at Lund University, 63% of those convicted of rape or attempted rape between 2000 and 2024 were people who were born abroad or had parents with a migrant background. The study leader, I'm not even going to try to say that name, said that integration can play a significant role in reducing crime. People who lived in Sweden for more than 5 years are less likely to commit crimes. Although the study was intended to provide a comprehensive picture, its methodology has been criticized by many, because in Sweden, a significant proportion of rape causes never came to the attention of authorities. So statistically, it might be biased because not all of these are out here. But maybe we have this study here, and of course they're gonna throw some slander at this because even though it's pretty proven at this point, we can look at other countries, even outside of Sweden. It's been shown that these immigrants, specifically, especially from Africa or the Middle East, are a lot more prone to do these types of things because they have a completely different culture than us. But let's say you don't even, maybe they're right, maybe the methodologies are terrible. Okay, here's another one. The analysts included 4,000 individuals convicted of rape and 20,000 matched controls. We used a logistic regression. You don't need to know all that. We found that 36.9% of the convicted individuals and 69.5% of the controls were Swedish-born, with 2 Swedish-born parents. The odds of being convicted of rape were higher for individuals with an immigrant background across all models. After adjusting for potential confounders, socioeconomic status, substance use disorders, psychiatric disorders, and criminal behavior, these odds decrease but remain significant, especially for those born outside Sweden and arriving at age 15 or older. Our findings reveal a strong link between immigrant background and rape convictions that remains after statistical adjustment. The mechanism behind the overrepresentation of individuals with an immigrant background among these convicted of rape need further explanation. So there you go. Even if you don't like this one, which, maybe you can make a good case for that, there's multiple sources. I mean, I could find more. I could definitely find more. Yeah, I could look at other countries as well. If this is a common problem, we see this in the UK, for example, the actual gangs, the rape gangs that they have in the UK. We have, it just seems, it's clear. It's clear that immigrants are doing this. Yet we keep importing them into our countries, into the West. We have no sense of pride in our people anymore. Of why can't Sweden be for Swedish people? Why can't Britain be for British people? Why can't France be for French people? Why can't the US be for Americans? Why do we have to take in all of these people who don't want to assimilate, don't want to be part of our country, really? They just want to be here because, maybe there's economic advantages or whatever, and you see so many of them come here and shout for we need Sharia law, but we have this idea that we just have to accept that and be like, well, we have to let them in. We have to let these poor refugees in, even though many of them aren't really refugees. And I'm not saying there's no place for refugees at all. I suppose there can be a justification for it, but we're seeing the fruits of it. If you just look at the fruits of what's happening across the West, the fruits aren't good. It's clear to me that the fruits aren't good. And we have the moral right to just say no. If someone comes knocking on your door, you don't have an obligation to let them in your house. Even if they have a sob story, you don't necessarily have an obligation to let them in your house. You can say, no, this is my house. I make the rules. These are my people. This is my family. This is my house culture. And I value it and I want to maintain it. And I like the people in my house. I don't know you. You're foreign. I don't necessarily trust you. And why should I? Which again, that doesn't mean that we should have no immigration ever. It's an analogy. It's not perfect. But there is obviously a place for immigration to some extent. But the way we have approached it, where we basically just say, come on, everybody come into the West. We'll kill ourselves from the inside. The suicide of the West. We'll let everybody and everyone into our country because borders are just arbitrary. The West was colonizers and oppressors, and we really messed up the world with all of our colonization and all of our evil acts. Oh, the West, so evil. Bringing us all of this modern technology, bringing us modern medicine, bringing us modern philosophy, spreading Christianity, coming to the new world and spreading civilization and getting rid of cultures that practice cannibalism. Doesn't mean all of them practice cannibalism, obviously, but some people are off. Well, not everyone. Well, no, obviously, I'm not saying all of them. But we brought civilization. The West should be proud of its past. We have done such great things for the world. We have brought such great technology, such great ideas. We have brought such great architecture, such great beauty, such great art. And no, I won't apologize for colonization. I'm happy about colonization. I'm happy Christopher Columbus came over here to the U.S. It was a good thing. We brought civilization. We brought Christianity to people who knew not of Christ. And I'm proud of that. I'm sick of pretending like we're not allowed to be proud of our Western heritage, our Western culture. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be someone who's from the West. I personally have Italian ties. I'm proud of my Italian heritage. I'm proud of that. I'm not this idea that white people and European people and Western people, that they need to be ashamed of themselves, ashamed of their ancestors. No, our ancestors were great. Our ancestors built the most prosperous area in the world, the West. The only Christian place in the world. The only, I don't want to over-exaggerate with that, but the main Christian place in the world. Hence why we were so great. And as you see us go away from Christianity, we aren't looking so great anymore, are we? The West is starting to kill themselves out of almost a self-pity. Like, please, please come into our country, become 20% of our country, and we just want to die off. That's what we want to do. We want to die off because we're so ashamed of who we are. But you don't have to be ashamed. You don't. There's so much to be proud about being Swedish or French or British or American. Being proud of your ancestry is not just for Africans, it's not just for Middle Easterns, it's not just for Asians, it's not just for Hispanics, it's not just for black people, it's for white people too. It is. Everyone's allowed to be proud of their heritage. Everyone is allowed to do that. This idea that the West is uniquely evil when we have caused more good than anywhere in the world. The West is why. The West abolished slavery. And the West went off and abolished slavery in other countries too because we hated it so much. Just as one example of something great we did, obviously there's still slavery in the world, but not in the West. Not in the West. We created Oxford. We created Harvard. We created the best schools ever. The most beautiful architecture ever. And obviously Oxford and Harvard have fallen. They're not really as to the glory they once were, but of course they aren't. We've abandoned what made the West great. Christianity. God, Jesus. That's what made us great. It wasn't because we were something special, that white people are special. I mean, Europeans happen to be white, but I'm not making this a race thing. I love all races, all peoples. It's because we were Christian. That's the only way you can make a great country, is because you are Christian. So the Middle East could be great if they became Christian. Africa could be great if they became Christian, which I've seen some things that they are becoming more Christian, I believe. I'm not going to claim that absolutely, but I haven't actually researched it, but and I don't think the West can become great again until we return to our roots, return to what made us great, return to the only thing that really kept ourselves in check and helped us foster such a beautiful, beautiful culture and a beautiful, beautiful nations. Which, of course, that doesn't mean we didn't do things wrong. Every culture's done things wrong. Everyone has a bad history to some extent, just like your own family. Think about your own family. If you want to, a culture similar to a family. Within your own family, was there not These are not bad things, but yet you're still proud of your family. You still love your family. You still recognize the great things your family's done, even if there was wicked things. There's still beauty in your family, just like there is in your culture and in your people. So, yeah, I mean, I ranted on, went off and ranted on things I didn't really expect to talk about here, but mainly I just wanted to show that we can't keep killing ourselves. I mean, the horrible cases like what happened to this poor girl is going to keep happening if we don't stop hating ourselves and pick ourselves up and say, no, we're worthy of being taken care of. It's like a depressed person who their life's falling apart, their hygiene's their hygiene's horrible, they dress not so good. They're not feeding themselves. They're cutting themselves because they're depressed or they hate themselves. And the West is doing the same exact thing as someone who's depressed or something like that. Like, we just absolutely have no confidence and we hate ourselves. So of course stuff like this is going to keep happening. We need to have that's my point, I suppose. We need to stop hating ourselves. But it's not going to get better if we hate ourselves. We can't help ourselves if we hate ourselves. We have to learn to love ourselves, to love our culture, to love our people, to love being American, to love being Swedish, to love being British, etc., etc. To be proud of our roots instead of self-loathing. I don't have much more to say on this, at least in this video. I'm sure I'll do more videos on this because I'm very passionate about this, because to me, almost nothing else matters if we can't fix this. We can improve on policy A and policy B, but if we don't fix this, eventually all of it will crumble around us. We have to stop hating ourselves, and we have to put this immigration crisis to a stop, which luckily the U.S., at least half the country, has come to their senses on that, and Trump's being very I think he's doing a good job on it. Of course, there's a lot more work to be done. We'll see how the rest of his term goes. But anyways, if y'all like the video, please like and subscribe, comment. If you have any feedback for me, maybe you disagreed with something, I love to hear it. Maybe you agreed, I also love to hear it. I mean, you know, some people, they like to put comments that aren't really, there's like, I'm mad because you disagree with me. But put a little more nuance, a little more thought into the comment if you disagree. Because I love the discussion. I don't want to just have a yelling fest. I'm very open to people disagreeing. I actually love it. I love it if someone actually comes at me with honesty and understanding and wants to say, yeah, actually, I think you are wrong and here's why. But anyways, if y'all enjoyed the videos, please like and subscribe. Thanks.